The package arrived with no return address. That should have made me cautious. It didn't. It felt like a secret with my name on it. Brown box, scuffed label, my name in perfect block letters. It was heavier than it looked. Something inside slid and settled like a book. I live alone over the deli on Mercer. Packages get dumped on the landing, and we sort out later. I carried this one to my kitchen table and stared. I told myself I'd wait until work was done. At 6, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. It's for you. Open at sunset. Who is this? I typed. Dots. Then a gray system bar. Sunsets at 6:21. Open before, you won't hear it. Open after, it will hear you first. I waited. At 6:21, I cut the tape. Inside, black tissue, a small old phone, and a note. The paper felt warm, almost oily. Block letters said, "Do not answer messages after midnight. Turn the phone off at 11:59. Do not let it ring 3 times. Do not put it in another room. Do not leave the apartment. Do not look out the window. Do not say the name." I didn't know the name. The phone was dead until 8. When it lit, my name filled the screen. Marcus. Then, I'm sorry. Then, I tried to send it back. I set the phone down and did not reply. Please answer, it buzzed. It's faster if you answer. I kept it face down and checked my locks. I turned on the stove light and told myself I'd follow the rules. At 9:11, my microwave beeped. Do you hear it? I unplugged it and every other appliance I could reach. The phone made a small, polite sound, and I flipped it over. You're doing well, it wrote. It listens for resentments. If it asks for your father, don't answer. My father left when I was 8. The door didn't rattle. I didn't like that it knew. Who are you? I typed. No answer. Then, I was you. I laughed because I didn't know where else to put the sound. If you sent this, why me? I wrote. The package goes where it will be read, it replied. The last one didn't read it. The phrase felt like a hallway with no door. The apartment hummed and learned my name. It starts at 12:03, the phone said. 3 knocks, and the first name you ever pretended was yours. If you answer, it can sit down. If it sits, it won't leave. If you go to the mirror, it will be behind the glass. I threw a towel over the medicine cabinet anyway. At 10:41 a.m., bottle broke outside, and quiet returned. What happens if I turn the phone off now? I asked. It picked the time, came back. You want it to be your choice. I watched the digits climb toward midnight. Downstairs, trash bags thumped the curb like mist knocks. At 11:59, I held the power button until the light died. I set the phone down in front of me and waited. I didn't move it, didn't leave, didn't say any name. Midnight made the room a sealed jar. Somewhere a truck idled and rolled away. At 12:03, there were 3 polite taps on my door. Then a voice I knew said, "Hey kiddo, open up." I hadn't heard that voice in years, and never from the other side of my door. It carried a tired smile and a memory of cheap cologne. It carried the Sunday he left. I held my breath like that could make me invisible to sound. The note had not mentioned voices, but the phone had. It would use the first name you ever pretended was yours. When I was 9, I told a kid at camp my name was Max. I wanted to be someone low risk and fast. My door hummed with the absence of a peephole glance. If I looked, would the glass hold a second room with me in it, and something behind me? The apartment breathed with me, slow, damp, waiting. Another knock did not come. The rule said 3, and it kept its word. My phone was dark on the table, but the reflection in its dead screen showed the door, the strip of light under it, the inch of shadow beyond. The deli sign flickered once and went out. The block felt like it held its breath for me. You're not real, I whispered. I didn't believe me. From the hall, the voice softened, as if it leaned on the frame. Marcus, please. I pictured a mouth I knew and a mouth I didn't sharing the same lips. I counted to 30, then 60, then 120, sifting the seconds like beads on a string. I thought about the note's last line again. Do not say the name. Names are doors. The ones we shut gently are the ones that open later. I went to the bathroom and pressed my palm against the towel on the cabinet. I felt cool glass under fabric like a forehead under a sheet. Back in the kitchen, the old phone stayed dark, but I could still feel where its light had been, the way you feel a watch tan after you take it off. I put both hands flat on the table and tried to think about something else. Blue paint flaking on a window frame, the faint stain from a wine glass, the deep bite marks on my pencil from last tax season. Small, honest things, proof that I was still here and not inside someone's game. The voice at the door tried again, and this time it said the name I lied with at camp, soft as a breath against my ear. Max, it said, easy, promising, like a hand held out in the dark. I kept my mouth closed and my eyes away from the window. Beyond the door, something shifted. Something slid against the threshold, like a tongue tasting the gap. Paper rasped on wood. I watched the strip edge into the apartment a millimeter at a time, as if pulled from the other side by fingers that wanted my fingertips to meet them in the middle. I didn't move. The hallway light seeped around the edges of my door like tea in water, weak and tannic. The paper stopped when it was halfway under. I didn't need to pick it up to read it. In pencil, the word Max was written 3 times, stacked, each one darker than the last, as if whoever was out there pressed harder each try. I imagined graphite dust lifting like breath. The air took on a sharp smell, not cologne, pennies and rain, old coins rolling on marble. I had never promised the world anything, and the world had never promised me fair play. The phone on the table was dark, and that should have been relief, but its dark face felt like someone in a crowded room staring without blinking. I slid the paper back with my shoe. The light under the door dimmed. In the kitchen, the ancient fridge coughed and settled, and the sound made my heart punch hard enough that I had to count to pull it back into rhythm. Something on the other side inhaled to speak and didn't, like it was savoring silence the way you savor a word on your tongue before saying it. I wasn't going to give it mine. At 12:17, the phone lit without booting. The screen licked white and then gray like breath on cold glass. A line of text printed itself, as if typed with care. It will try the rings now. Let it ring twice. On the third, cover the speaker with your palm and your heartbeat. Do not answer. Do not say the name. If you hum a song you have never sung to anyone. My first thought was stupid and human. That humming would reveal the rhythm of my nerves. That it would set a metronome it could march to. My second thought was stranger. I didn't know any song no one else had heard. The phone rang, a sound from another decade, bellish and cheerful, the kind of chime it used to come with flowered wallpaper. It rang once, and the sound slid along the baseboards like a cold thing. I counted to 5. It rang again. On 2, I felt the apartment compress, as if the building inhaled and held it. I pressed my palm flat over the tiny grill where the sound bled. I pressed until the old plastic grew warm and then hot against my skin. Under my hand, something leaned. The third ring started and didn't clear my palm. It turned against my skin like a physical thing, a bubble trying to rise through a membrane. I hummed. I hummed a song with no words, the first shape of a melody I made as a kid to calm down in the mock closet at daycare, the one with plastic food and tin plates. I hadn't realized I remembered it until it slipped out. It was simple and small and slightly off, like a lullaby sung too late. The ring flattened against my palm and then changed pitch, as if it tilted its head to listen. The old phone trembled once and went still. The air lost its coin smell. Outside, something scraped lightly along the door jamb the way you might draw a fingernail, down, paint to feel how old it is. The paper with the 3 Maxes slid back out, inch by inch, into the hall. At 12:31, I realized my jaw hurt from clenching. I got up without taking my palm off the phone and walked it to the sink, because that's where I go when I have no idea what to do with my hands. The rule said do not put it in another room, not do not move. I turned the cold tap and let the water run over my other hand until the skin stung. I didn't need the cold. I needed proof of a thing that obeyed physics. The phone buzzed once under my hand, not with a notification, but with the patience of something that can wait longer than you can. I dried my fingers on my shirt and went back to the table. The chair creaked the way it always does, small, honest thing. I kept the chair sound in my head. The screen grew, text again. You did fine, it said. They always try the surname after midnight, then the pretend one, then the father. It will ask his question at 12:44. It will ask you if you remember the red shoelaces. Do not answer. Do not think of it as a question. Think of it as a key. I didn't remember red shoelaces, which is the same as remembering them once someone tells you not to. I squeezed my eyes and pictured anything else. the deli's neon S flickering, the burn-marked circle on the table, the way the paint peels in long curls from the radiator like fingernails you're not supposed to bite. My mind, unhelpful animal, fetched red and a bow and a hand tying it. 12:44 came like a held breath you can't stop holding because you forget where the part is where you exhale. The voice at the door didn't say my name this time. It spoke like someone telling a story to a sleeping dog in a kitchen at night. "Do you remember the red shoelaces?" It asked, like it was about to smile after the answer. I put the heel of my hand gently against my own sternum, skin to bone, to feel a beat that was only mine. "No," I said inside my head to the part of me that wanted to answer out loud, to be clever, to be the kid who finally says the right thing and gets rewarded. My throat tickled. I swallowed and looked at the dead screen under my palm. The phone did not light. I nodded to the table. The table didn't nod back. That helped. The apartment hushed itself with me. Every sound that wasn't mine parked like a car, as far away as it could, and idled. The city withdrew its promise of rescue and left me the local roads. Footsteps went down the stairs and didn't come up again. The voice outside said one more thing I couldn't hear, not because it spoke softly, but because the place in my head where sounds become meaning turned away like a child who knows to close her eyes when the movie gets too bright. After a long time, the voice stopped. After longer, I realized my mouth had gone dry and my tongue was stuck to my teeth. The clock on the stove said 12:58 in big green numbers that used to be the ugliest numbers in the universe and now looked like the kindest. The phone under my hand shivered once and I pressed harder. At 1 a.m., the rule let go. I felt it step away the way you feel when someone who has been standing behind you on a crowded train gets off and suddenly your back is your own again. The hallway light went out. The deli compressors hummed their ordinary hum. The paper with my pretend name stayed wherever it had gone. My palm had a rectangle of heat printed on it. I lifted my hand. The phone lit of its own to show a single line. Night 1 complete. Do not sleep near the mirror. Do not take photos. If you have no plants, acquire one and keep it alive. If you have one, apologize. I don't name things, not plants or cars or appliances. It feels like an invitation to grieve them. But I had a pot hose because everyone has a pot hose, the plant equivalent of a laboratory mouse. It hung by the window I wasn't supposed to look out of, trailing 3 legs of green that had found their way to the light like it had read the directions on the box of living. I stood under it and said, "I'm sorry," and felt foolish until a small part of the room exhaled with me, as if a held breath behind the leaves had been let go. The phone blinked again. It doesn't eat forgiveness, it typed. It stars when fed it. That's why it asks about the small, mean places. Don't feed it with those. I sat on the edge of my bed and kept the phone on the quilt beside me, because the note had said not to put it in another room. I did not look at the black square of the bathroom behind the towel. I tucked my feet up because I suddenly understood why kids do that, why all horror starts with the ankle. When I finally fell asleep, it was like dropping into water I had already been standing and up to my waist. I dreamt the shoelaces then. I saw my father kneeling to tie them. And then I saw that in the dream the hands weren't his. They were mine at 33. And the kid's shoes belonged to a boy with hair the color mine had been. In the dream, I loved him in that terrifying way love makes you furtive, as if the mere fact of loving could draw a predator's eye. In the dream, I told him, "Your name is your door. Keep it closed when you're alone." In the dream, he looked at me with my mother's frown and said, "What's my name?" When I woke up, the phone was warm against my thigh. Morning made the rules look like superstition a reasonable person could mock. Sun figured out the curtains the way it always does. Downstairs, them arguing about whose turn to sweep and whether you can keep someone's tab when their mother dies made the world ordinary again. My message thread with the old phone, if that's what we were calling the thing that spoke through it, had no history, only the last line, "It stars when fed forgiveness." I made coffee, which felt like an act of rebellion worth doing. When the machine gurgled and clicked and sighed, it sounded like a friend learning a new language just to say your name right. At 12:08 p.m., the dead phone lit on its own again with a more prosaic cruelty. Sunset at 6:20, it wrote. At 5:40, put a bowl of water between you and the door. Do not drink from it. Do not let it reflect your face. If the deli calls after 6, do not answer. It will ask to borrow your name for a minute. If you lend it, it will not bring it back. If you break any rule, it moves to the window. If it moves to the window, it learns the city, and then it won't need doors. I texted, "Who are you?" The answer came slow, like someone coaxing a reluctant animal. The last one who read this, it typed. I tried to refuse it the second night. I broke the plant. Save yours. At 5:40, I set a salad bowl halfway between the table and the door and filled it to the lip. I floated a pot hose leaf to break the mirror the water wanted to be. I moved the plant close enough to see the bowl, but not so close a stray draft would pull a vine forward. It felt like setting a guard and asking it to forgive the thing it had to watch. At 6, the deli called. The caller ID was their number. The name read Santos. I let it ring until voicemail, then listened to the message through the old phone speaker with my palm over it. "Marcus," came a voice that was almost right. "We need your name for a tab. Just a minute, please." The way the word "please" flexed at the end made my shoulders climb my neck. I didn't answer. Sunset rubbed itself across the ceiling like an eraser smudging chalk. The bowl held the room in pieces. Door, chair leg, portion of rug, strip of light, no face. The leaf drifted. I hummed the nameless tune before the first knock even thought of itself. No knocks came. The water trembled instead, syllables I couldn't hear making rings against porcelain. The text arrived without lighting the room. It will ask for a sip. Do not give it. If it speaks from the drain, do not listen. It likes pipes. It learns the names of streets by their groans. The faucet clicked once on its own and clicked back off. From the hallway, the floorboards said someone leaned, weight forward, ear to wood. The bowl rippled. "Say my name for a minute," the ripple asked without sound. "Let me hold it for you." I thought about the last line I'd read last night. It doesn't eat forgiveness. It starves when fed it. I put my hand on the bowl's rim and said, in the smallest voice I owned, not to the hall, not to any mouth, but to the place in me that never stopped waiting at a window, "I forgive you." I forgave my father for the story he couldn't finish, the shoelaces I learned myself, the cheap cologne that had to be someone else's comfort. The water went still. The leaf spun once and settled. The phone rang. Once. Twice. On the third, it surged under my palm like a fish under ice. The leaf drifted toward the clear patch where it could have held my face. I slid a pinch of coffee grounds into the bowl. The surface clouded and the smell cut the coin tang. Something on the other side of the door tapped a fingernail in irritation, the first emotion it had given away. The plant's vine brushed my wrist like a cat, forgiving an absence. I held my breath through the rest of midnight. Maybe it ends when I run out of resentment. I feed the plant, starve it, and keep my name where no one can reach.